Hello, and welcome to the Pulse of Jonesboro. I am Jeremy Terrell, and I am your host today. As usual, I'm always your host, but that may change. You never know. We may have a couple different podcasts eventually where we have people that host different ones. But, the goal is always to move forward and to be better and to really just give what Jonesboro needs. And so sometimes I'll be that person, and I hope sometimes in the near future there may be some others that need to get involved that know more about other stuff than I do, and hopefully we just have a conglomerate of information. So the goal will be to always have people that know way more than I do and get on here and tell you the real skinny on things. And speaking of that, next week I am going to have somebody on, I'm hoping, that will kind of give us the nuts and bolts about what's going on within the county. And when I mean what's going on within the county about this merging some things together, and the treasurer and the collector, and hopefully we can get way more information on that, because there's a chance that that's going to go to the voters in November, and we'd like to squash it before maybe, but if it doesn't, then we want to make sure that everybody has information. So we're trying to get that done. I think it's time to get on here and really talk about some things that I've been holding back from talking about, but I believe it's time. And the reason why I believe it's time is it's the end of the year. We're starting a new year. A lot of things are going on, and within those things that are going on, people just need to know that there needs to be a new direction within Jonesboro. I've had some great conversations with some really smart people in and out of the city. I've done a ton of research and to what makes cities successful and what really drives the next generation to become the leaders of our community. And we're doing none of those, or very little. And it's a shame. And the reason why we're doing very little of that is because we have a group of people that just want power. Not really want to see the next level of Jonesboro. We just have a group of people that just want power. And that's what we're dealing with is this power hungry. You have a couple of people in the mix, and they're all driving for power. And it's a shame. It's not what's best for Jonesboro or best for the community. It's what's best for them individually or a group of them, and it's usually a very, very, very small group of them. But at some point in time, we've got to insist as the community, as the taxpayers, the people that pay most of these people's salaries, the people that that these people get their money off of, that we say enough's enough. And you guys have heard me say a bunch of stuff throughout this year of 2025 that you guys have heard me call out some names. You guys have heard me talk about different things, and one obviously is the mayor. We need a mayor that has enough strength to blaze his own path. And the problem that we currently have right now is that's not the case. We can't do anything as a city unless we get some $1 million company to come in and tell us how to do it. And then if we don't like it, we get another $1 million company to come in and tell us how to do it differently. And if we don't like that, we continue down that stretch. We also are led by, he's kind of the puppet. He's not the puppet master. And, he gets told what to do. He's got to bounce things off of people. You guys have heard me say this and in other episodes, but I want to say it again. I know of meetings where something was talked about, and then after that meeting, he's like, "Well, I'm going to go bounce this off of Chris Barber. Let me see what Chris Barber thinks about this." Now, Chris Barber is the president of St. Menard's, and you guys have heard me say his name. I think he's a great dad and a great father. But to be the chamber president or whatever it is that he is, we haven't moved in a good direction in years and years and years. And yet I think it's been 13 years he's been the chairman of that. And so he holds a lot of the strings within Jonesboro in the direction that we go. And, those of us that are keeping tally on the direction of which we're going, we're not going in the right direction. There's people that have pulled out of the chambers. There's businesses that have pulled out of the chamber. There's people in businesses that haven't even gotten into the chamber, and that's because the chamber is stale. Now, I know that people that are in the chamber that the people that are running it, I think are probably competent. I just think they get told what to do. I think that, they probably can. I know a couple of them personally, and I know that they're smart and intelligent people, and probably, if left alone, could do an amazing job. The problem is we got a puppet master, and they got a puppet master, and they get told what to do and all of that good stuff. And this is not driving the what's best for Jonesboro. We have a lot of business people that are involved, and a lot of real estate agencies that are involved, and a lot of just a lot of people that are involved, and they all have certain things that they want to see that makes them money. We have very few people that are involved in the city that actually have weight. And I don't mean weight within the city. I mean, we have some people, some big hitters, some companies, some people that have really been successful here that have pulled and done some amazing things, but they've done it on their own. And, as far as our city goes, our city government, the elected officials, and then those that are kind of running things, we're just moving in the wrong direction. And we have been for several years. And you guys have heard me say that, our economic machine has kind of become stale. We haven't moved in the right direction or moved at all. And so what does that mean? Well, I don't think they know. There's not a metric that they have taken to find out, but there is one. And so whatever that metric is, and wherever we're at, and whatever the area that we're at, that's where we need to be focusing on. So if it's developing a workforce, then we need to be developing a workforce. But we poo-pooed that back in earlier this year. And, we were bringing stuff to Jonesboro that was going to help develop the next generation of working force. But, the people and the powers to be decided that wasn't what we needed to do. And so it got squashed, even though some of the major players in Jonesboro, some of the greatest companies that we've ever had, some of the CEOs and those bunches really wanted this. No, a couple of the puppet masters didn't want it. And there we go. We don't get it. And why? Why is that? Why are we having people, why in the world do we have people that don't own a bunch of stuff, haven't started a company, don't have their actual money invested in our town? Why are these people the ones running everything? Instead of the business owners, the people that have built, $1 million companies, the people that have, ran multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies that are incredibly successful. Why are they not the ones pushing and driving the direction of Jonesboro? I don't know. It makes zero sense. And if it makes sense to you that the direction we're going, get on here and tell me about it. Tell me why I'm wrong and you're right. We got it, and it is power. We have more people worried about being in power than we have about doing the right thing and just doing what's right for Jonesboro. It's sad, but it's true. And, and it runs rampant. We have people in Jonesboro that work for Jonesboro, for the city of Jonesboro, unbelievably competent. The leadership is holding them back. It's just true. We and it is controlling the narrative. And here's the thing, thanks to you guys, they're not controlling the narrative anymore. And and it sucks to them. I would think that the Pulse of Jonesboro is probably enemy number one when it comes to them. Now, there's other people that I know that are in Jonesboro that they would probably argue that they're enemy number one, and maybe they are, but they're no longer controlling the narrative, and the narrative that needs to be controlled by you, the people. What's best for the people? What's best for Jonesboro? The direction that we need to be going, and stop all of this backdoor deals that has nothing to do with you or me. And that's my thing. That's got to stop. The representation of you and me doesn't exist. Our city council, with the exception of few, are rubber stampers. They don't get into the nuts and bolts and understand what in the world that's going on in the game that's being played. And I don't even think that they care. I mean, maybe they do. I'm not sure, but they don't ask questions. They don't question anything. They literally just hear what's said in a meeting and rubber stamp it. Some people talk about housing and things like that, and ways we need to curve the direction we were going and curb the appetite of housing, so that we make sure that we're staying or creating or whatever a sustainable housing, and then they vote to just abandon that. They'll just do whatever because somebody stood up in front of them and said, I want to put in a subdivision. And they're like, okay. But knowing that, or maybe they don't know, I don't know, but you would think that they should know. Like, everybody on the city council should understand housing development, the good, the bad, and the ugly about it. And if you don't, then don't vote. Like, get off of that committee or whatever it is, and allow the people that do know how to move in a direction that's best for our city. Here's the other thing. I don't know, like, our city councils, like continuing ed, like where do they go, and what is the understanding that they have to do in order to become better city councilmen and women? Is there some sort of, I know that there's classes throughout the United States that teach people how to be better. And in my opinion, they should be going to these things and learn about what in the world it takes in order to make Jonesboro better again. And they don't. They absolutely 100% don't do anything. And I say they, I mean some of them. There's just so many things that are going on within our community that makes me scratch my head over and over and over and over and over again. Just got off the phone with a friend of mine. It was a 2-hour conversation, and it was a 2-hour conversation about this is what people are doing in other successful towns that we are not doing. And we went through a ton of them, and it's disappointing and crazy what we're doing compared to towns that are succeeding. And you guys have heard me talk about, the trail system. My argument with the trail system and sidewalks and things like that isn't that we don't need more sidewalks, and people may skew that. I 100% believe that we need sidewalks and other things that would bring great value to our city. The problem is that when they brought this to the city, they didn't know what they were talking about. The people that are in charge of where sidewalks go and how they go and these trail systems and all that stuff, they have zero understanding about what that really entails and what that actually drives. I said this in a couple of episodes ago. The towns that have successful trail systems are where the trail systems actually bring revenue to the city. Putting in a ginormous sidewalk down Flint gives zero economic value to Jonesboro. Zero. 100% zero. Down Culver House, zero. Zero. Now, if you want to put a sidewalk, fine. If you want to help, people move around, the ones that walk, fine. But make sure you understand why you are doing what you're doing. If it brings no economic value and you're just spending money and wasting it like you are, like the city is, stop. Stop. You're wasting millions and millions of dollars putting in overgrown sidewalks for what? Now, and then you got a group of people that are like, oh, sidewalks, trail systems. The problem is I'm all for it if it was done right. I'm all for it if it was just done correctly, and it's not. And the list goes on and on and on of the things that we do constantly that brings no value to Jonesboro. It doesn't uplift Jonesboro. It makes no difference what we're doing. It matter. All it does is it puts money into other people's pockets. People stab people in the back all the time in this town. People are, and I don't mean, I mean the people that are kind of in the workings of Jonesboro. Like, I'm not talking about, my buddy, my neighbor or whatever. Like, my neighbor's awesome. There's way more awesome people in Jonesboro than not. What I'm talking about is the inner workings of Jonesboro. Something will happen. For instance, there'll be a company that's doing some jobs and they get behind and they get, they go bankrupt or something from doing some jobs in Jonesboro. And then another company will come in and they'll help them out and bail them out so that they can finish and not lose everything. And then that company in a year or two will open up another company, or that person will come in and open up another company to stab the person in the back that actually helped that individual. And these are all people that are, again, at the kind of the inner workings tops of running Jonesboro. And it makes no sense. We constantly are having a power struggle in Jonesboro. And that power struggle is, these groups that just want power, not what's best for Jonesboro, not the moves that looks best for Jonesboro, but how much power can they have? It's like, take ASU, for instance. I think we got like one of the best, people running the school that we've had in who knows how long. And I think that he gets it and understands it. We'll see how long we keep him. I hope we keep him for a long time. But, again, you guys have heard me say this on lots of different episodes is we're not doing anything to make sure that we help ASU at a level that we should be. Never. We're not. ASU is one of, if not the largest economic engine of Jonesboro. We should be embracing that at a level that is mind-boggling, but we don't. Our city doesn't. The inner workings of some other groups don't. We act like it. We throw up some paint on the cities and paint the town, but the reality is we haven't embraced them at a level that we should. And I believe in the hope that once we get some new leadership, we will, and we can turn this ship. It's we don't demand, better for our schools. We don't demand it's so crazy. I'll get on this podcast and I'll say something about, I was barking about the City Stars at the beginning of the year, and I have people just absolutely hating on me for it. You are so mean and you just don't like Danny, and I don't even know Danny. So it's not a matter of whether I like Danny or not. I don't know Danny to like him or not. The problem is I saw what was happening. I used my brain and I could see what was happening, and I brought it to people's attention. And now that it turns out to be true, I've got people that are mad at me for being right. They were mad at me for saying something about it months ago, and now they're mad at me for being right. It makes zero sense. And it's about power. It's about people wanting to drive the narrative. And the problem with that is even if the narrative's right, the people driving the narrative, even if it's right, still want to be the ones driving the narrative. And instead of us just doing what's right as a collective, instead of us just moving the engine in the right direction, somebody always wants to be in control of the narrative. And instead of doing what's best for you and me, somebody wants to always help somebody else get rich or take money or plan this scheme or, hey, look at my company. It's better than that guy's company. Let's promote my company. That's what goes on in this town. A little ton of backdoor, good old boy system where, we got lots of competent companies in this town that can't ever break into certain areas, and that's because the good old boy system. We got a lot of incompetent companies in this town that get to do a ton still, and that's because of the good old boy system. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love a good handshake and good business just like the rest of them, but that's not when I say the good old boy system, I'm not talking about two people looking each other in the eye and shaking their hands and having a deal and finishing through on that deal. I'm talking about, people that, hey, this is a buddy of mine and we're going to make sure that he makes a good living off the taxpayers. I mean, that kind of stuff. That stuff happens constantly. And we just have people that aren't elected that are constantly getting in the way of the progression of Jonesboro's growth in the direction it should be going. And I think it's countywide. I do. I think that, we do this everywhere. And I don't know why. I'm not 100% sure why. At one point in time, we had the Wally Fowlers of Jonesboro and a couple of others back in the day. And, those guys had a real strong pulse on what was best for Jonesboro. And they invested themselves into Jonesboro and helped a lot of people and did a lot of great things and really, really pushed to move Jonesboro in the right direction. And then, they move off or die off or whatever it is. And, those that are left are really about what is in it for me. And that's the current state of Jonesboro. We have tons and tons of great people here. We have tons of great companies. We have, again, I watch all the time the Always Jonesboro group and what they're doing. And, the people running that are freaking rock stars because I see them everywhere and it looks good. And I'm sure they're drawing people in and to certain communities and things that's going on, and they're doing a great job. I just hope somebody doesn't get power hungry and like, hey, you're getting too much power and let me rein you in. But that's what happens, and when people get successful or are really good at what they do, we get jealous and power hungry and we decide to rein things back. I mean, I have a dear friend of mine who lost their job, and the only reason why he lost their job is because of incompetent power hungry above them. And it's insane. I wanted to really talk about you guys for a second. I got this today and this morning, and I'm saying this morning, I mean, it's Thursday, the 11th. So I got this today, and I was looking up kind of how the podcast is going. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to put it up anyways. And so I'll read that to you. But it says, my show, and this is, Spotify sent this to me. My show was in the top 20% of videos on Spotify. Top 20%. That's incredible. Then I get this other little thing, and, it's this little thing here. And it's, my 2025 is a marathon show. 2025, it's an instant hit show. And in 2025, it's a highly talked about show. So, I don't know what all that means really, other than this. And I'm hoping that the people that I'm talking about today, I really hope that they're listening. What that means is that your voice is being heard. And when I say your voice, the taxpayer's voice is being heard. So people are listening. You guys are getting representation. And I'm going to continue to get up here at this mic, and I'm going to continue to talk about the issues. I'm just going to tell what I know. And if I don't know it, I'll say I don't know it. This is just what I speculate. But if I know it, I'm going to say I know it. And everything that I've been talking about on this episode is true. We have a lot of things going on within our town and within our community that doesn't represent you. And I'm hoping and praying that through this and through some other avenues, some people that I work with, Patty Lack and the 280 page, bless her heart, she tries hard, and she's one of those groups that only want what's best for you. She doesn't have any stake in this game other than she lives here and she just wants what's right. And so through her and myself and through some others, we want your voices to be heard. We want you to be up to date. We want you to know what's happening, and we want to give you the information that allows you to make a better, stronger understanding what's going on in Jonesboro so that we can move in the right direction. And we're going to get there. I mean, we already see certain things happening. We're going to get there. And so stay strong, connect, share this, go to Patty's 280 page on Facebook, like and subscribe and follow and all of that good stuff and share. And guess what? Your voice is going to be heard. And we will be able to make Jonesboro move and shift in the right direction, the direction that it absolutely 100% should be moving in. You guys have heard me over and over again say this recently. We're going to do some things in 2026, and we're hoping that makes a huge difference to, the growth of the channel and what's happening, and we want more representation of the people. We want way more of you guys being heard, and we want to make sure that our elected officials understand who's in control, and that's the taxpayers. And we demand to move in a direction that's best for Jonesboro. And we're going to make that happen. So, guys, this was kind of a spontaneous prompt but I hope you enjoyed it. And just know that, I'll leave this with you because people are going to come after me, and they already are. But I'm okay with having a conversation. If Chris, if the mayor, if anybody wants to come on the podcast and let's talk about Jonesboro, the door is open. You guys got my number. Let's talk, and maybe you could change my mind about certain areas, but let's talk. Let's have the debate, and let's see if we can't fix this. And if you guys believe that you're the reason why Jonesboro needs, to listen to you guys, then tell me why. Let's just talk about it, because currently right now the proof is in the pudding. All the statistical data, the numbers that don't lie, because numbers don't lie. And if you think that 2 + 2 is 5, quit watching me. But 2 + 2 is 4. The numbers don't lie. And if we continue to go down the direction that we're going, doing the same thing, that's called insanity. And we're not moving in the right direction. And that's all I want, is Jonesboro to me moving in the right direction. I think we all want our kids to be here. I think we all want to be here. I think that we want to see Jonesboro prosper. I don't know anybody that wants to see Jonesboro fail. I don't think the mayor wants Jonesboro to fail. I don't think Chris wants the Jonesboro to fail. I just don't think that they're leading in the right direction. I don't think that they're the ones that should be moving this ship and driving it. And, the mayor can still be mayor, but put people in charge of things that can move the ship and get out of the way. The thing about a mayor is that he's supposed to surround himself with amazingly competent people and then allow them to do their job and get out of the way. And that would be a massively effective mayor. The problem is that we depend too much on unelected officials, or the mayor is, in determining what direction we're going, and can't seem to pull the trigger on good things, and only can do the pulled the trigger on the I don't even know. I don't even know what triggers we're pulling. You know, putting up a lot of cameras. The E911 center, E911 center. I don't know. You know, of course, that's what people that want control want, is more control. So, anyways, guys, I enjoy you tremendously, and I appreciate you guys tremendously. We're going to make a difference in the Pulse, and you guys will be heard, and I appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon. Thanks.